Hello and welcome to Witchy Wellness Radio. I'm your host, Lauren Chalantani, women's holistic health coach and fellow recovering perfectionist. This podcast was created to show you that your body is not in the way, it is actually leading your way. Hello. You are listening to episode 136, Nonviolent Communication with Katharina Dello. But before we jump into today's amazing episode, a word from our sponsor, Living the Good Life Naturally Magnesium. This is my go-to brand for transdermal or on-the-skin magnesium supplementation. Transdermally is the easiest way and most effective way you can absorb the magnesium into your body. Things like your stress level, your diet, and so many other factors go into your magnesium burn rate. If you want to learn more about this, listen to episode 73 of Witchy Wellness Radio and make sure to go to Living the Good Life Naturally's website in the show notes and use code WITCHY, WICTHY, for 10% off of your purchase. Please enjoy episode 136, Nonviolent Communication with Katharina Dello. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Witchy Wellness Radio. This is your host, Lauren, and this is a show you learn how your body and your emotions are not in the way. They're actually leading the way. And our amazing communicator, nonviolent communicator to guest today, Katharina Dello, is originally from Ukraine, but she now lives in Germany with her two wonderful kids. And she often applies nonviolent communication to let the family move even closer together and to resolve conflict that always used to lead to tantrums. She also shares her secrets of her success with other parents with her online course, Communicate Effectively with Kids. Welcome to the show, Katharina.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. And I know this, you specialize in nonviolent communication with kids, but this wisdom you can apply in every single area of your life. It's so powerful. And I know I've learned a lot from you.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. And I would love to hear your story because I know getting into something like this, I'm sure there was some beautiful transformation, whether in your own personal life with your kids, and now you're paying it forward and helping other people do the same. What made you want to create this beautiful course?
Maybe I would first tell you how I came across nonviolent communication in the first place. It was a couple of years ago, and my kids were very little back then. They were 3 and 5, and our life was very chaotic. So we had a lot of tantrums. My kids didn't listen. They wouldn't engage. They kept running away from me. And I would yell at them very often. And I didn't like it at all. I hated the way I was being as a mother sometimes, but I just couldn't find a way to work things out. And at that point, my marriage was also pretty much in trouble. And I talked to someone who proposed to read about nonviolent communication for me. Especially for dealing with my troubled marriage back then. And it was a person whom I really trusted, who I felt very much understood. So that's why I bought a book and read about it. And I visited, I attended courses and I practiced a lot. And I have read a lot about parenting advice before, about conflicts solving advice before. But every time, I don't know if your listeners can relate, but every time I felt like it's all my fault. So if I read some advice, I would always believe that everything went wrong in my life because I was doing something wrong, because it was me who was to blame. And when I first heard about nonviolent communication, my first thought was, well, not again another concept to teach me how I'm doing wrong, why it's always my fault, and why I suck, basically. And the only reason why I stuck with nonviolent communication was because you can apply it when talking to others, but you can also apply it when talking to yourself, because we are constantly talking to ourselves in our heads. And I was doing that without even realizing it, and without realizing that I wasn't being particularly nice to myself. But the beautiful thing about nonviolent communication is that you focus on feelings and needs, the feelings and needs that you have, but also the feelings and the needs of other people. So you don't focus on words. You don't listen to words, but you're trying to listen what's behind all the words, all the things that people are saying. Yes, and the most beautiful part for me is that you have to take care of yourself. You have to give yourself some empathy before you can start solving conflicts between your kids, for example, or something else. And it was then when I realized that if I wanted to be more patient with my kids, I needed to take care of myself first. And that meant for me resolving the conflict with my husband. So I tried to apply nonviolent communication to this conflict. Well, it didn't quite work out. We are divorced now. But actually, it was the better way. It was the best solution, because after we split up, I felt better, and that's what I mean by taking care of myself. I had a major conflict removed from my life, and I had much more energy left for my children. Well, and then after I had more time and more energy, I really dived in deeply into nonviolent communication and tried to apply it with my kids. The first year was a disaster, complete disaster, because, I was trying to talk about feelings and needs, but I was talking about my feelings and needs to my kids, who were 3 and 5 back then. It was a little bit too much to ask of the small kids. And then I realized that I need to put their feelings and their needs into words. And then things started to work out with them.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah. That sounds so powerful. Yeah. And I would love to hear, so this nonviolent communication, how young can you start using this with your children?
Well, I think my youngest daughter was 3 when I started using it. And with her, it worked perfectly well, because, you, as a mother, you can sense your child. So I just started putting her feelings into words, what I was observing, like, are you sad, or are you upset, or are you mad, are you frightened? And she would say yes. And I could soothe her and comfort her in some kind of way. So you can start at this age. And I have also read some advice that you can even start earlier, but not in the form of a conversation, but just by putting the feelings and the needs of your child into words. And then there's no limit, because I've used it with my mother, with my boss, with my coworkers. So it works pretty well with other people.
Oh, I love it. And in your course, you teach people the 4 main steps of talking in a connecting way. Could you give us a brief overview of what those steps would be?
Yeah. the main aspects of nonviolent communication are the feelings and the needs, as I already said. But usually you would start with an observation. And an observation is something that you can see or that a camera would record. So not not the meaning that you put into a situation, but just a neutral observation. And then usually a situation triggers a feeling in you. But the feeling is not connected to the situation itself. It's connected to the need that is behind this feeling. I have a short example that I could give to you. Or for example, if I'm home in the evening and I'm waiting for my friend to come and see me, and she's late. So this is the situation. This is the observation. She's late. She's, 20 minutes late. Now, my reaction to the situation could be I am angry because I want to spend my time in a meaningful way and not waste it waiting for her. Or I could even be relieved because her delay gives me the opportunity to finish some piece of work, for example. So those are two completely different reactions, the relief and the anger. Completely different reactions to the same situation, and the reactions are different because of the need that is present for me at this moment. Do I want to finish a piece of work, or do I want to spend my time in a meaningful way with her? So those are the needs that are behind my feelings. And the fourth step would be a request. This is an optional step because sometimes if you just realize the feelings and the needs, you already feel better. But maybe you have to take the fourth step and make a request. You can make a request to yourself or to someone else. Well, if you are angry about her delay, you could just talk to her and explain that for you it's important to be on time. Well, in a friendly way, of course. That would be a request to your friend, for example.
That's such an easy, simple way. I feel like we should learn this in school growing up.
Yeah, I feel that too. And there are schools all over the world that teach nonviolent communication. But unfortunately, I didn't go to that school.
Either did I.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you next, why is it important and how can you connect with your kids when they're relaxed?
For this, I found a wonderful play. Well, I've attended a lot of courses and watched a lot of videos, and I came across a Dutch coach for nonviolent communication. Her name is Marianne van Dijk, and she proposes a play that's called Like, Don't Like. So you just ask your kid, what did you like about your day or your week, whatever. What did you like? And then if the child is prepared to play this game, you should give it some time. And then when she comes up with something, first you listen. Because empathetic listening is very important in nonviolent communication. So that means that you are just being there, seeing her, hearing her, not no interpretations. You just try to guess the feelings and the needs that are behind it. And then you ask, was there also something that you didn't like about your day? And then it's the same. You just listen and try to guess the feelings and needs behind it. And if the child feels like it, and if the child is old enough, you could also share what you did like or didn't like about your day, but they need to be, I don't know, a bit older. Well, not 3 for this.
Yeah. Share, listening empathetically. When I became a health coach almost 7 years ago, the biggest thing they taught us was the power of listening. The empathetic listening, because
yes,
a lot of times people don't have that opportunity in life, in any type of relationship, where someone really is there to just listen with empathy. It's mostly listening to respond or tell their opinion, right?
right. Or give advice or something like that.
Yeah. And that, is so powerful in your relationship with anybody, with yourself, with your partner, your kids, friend, family, to just listen.
Yes.
And not judge or make assumptions, like you said, and just, so just listening it sounds like a huge part of this first part of starting nonviolent communication. You can do that today.
Yeah. So that's also, there's a quote of from Marshall Rosenberg. He was the one who invented this type of communication, and he said that your presence is the most precious gift that you can give to anyone, and that's very beautiful.
Oh yes, and that like we say, it's very cheesy, but the greatest present you can give somebody is your presence.
Yes.
So like you being present with them is a gift. It's true. But when you have a lot going on in yourself, in your own life, whether it's, emotional from relationships, career, health, to just overall stress and anxiety, it's hard to hold that space for other people.
Yes.
When you can't hold it yourself. So what are some tips or tools that you can use for yourself, that you can to take care of yourself and kind of recharge so you can be in that space for other people and your kids?
Well, that's a very wide topic, because there are several things that you can do. Well, for me, basically, it was splitting up with my husband in the first place, but it doesn't have to be that dramatic for everybody. But it was the right way for me. But after that, I continued to look out for ways to take care of myself. I finally managed to meditate because I used to believe for years that meditation doesn't work for me, but now I'm in a place where it does. And what I suggest in my course, that's also what Marianne van Dijk suggested to me, and it was a very, very precious gift too, is that you apply this nonviolent communication when talking to yourself. So you just listen. You need 5 minutes where you can sit down, close your eyes, put your kids in front of a TV, and then you just listen to your body and try to feel what is there. Is there anything that requires your attention, or is something bothering you right now and you would like to kind of deal with it? And then you sense your feeling, and then you try to identify a thought. Is there a thought that triggered that feeling? And did something, and the third step is try to figure out, did something happen that triggered this thought again? And then it's time for the most beautiful step, So in my course, for example, I provide a sheet where all the most common needs are listed, and you can have a look at those needs and just see which one resonates with you. And you will find out very quickly which is the right one. And then you just sit with this need for a while, for a minute or for 5 breaths, I don't know. And usually when I manage to identify my need, it feels like a loving hug to myself. So I immediately feel better. And then there's the fifth and the optional step. You can make a request to yourself or to someone else. But I personally find that mostly I don't need a request. Just identifying my need is already very helpful. So this is one option for self-care.
Oh, yeah, I know there's so many options. And a lot of times self-care is sitting down and being present and practicing something like nonviolent communication and figure out what's coming up. And a lot of times we think self-care might be go to yoga or go take a bath. But sometimes self-care is not saying that this is hard work, but it's doing the hard work and being present with all what's coming up, not just the good, but the bad.
Yes. And it's if you're used to running around all the time, it's pretty hard to really sit down and focus on yourself. But you just need to practice it. So you only need 5 minutes.
Sometimes it's doing the hard work, and sometimes it's feeling all of the feelings, good or bad. And like you were saying, running around a lot. And sometimes I feel like I subconsciously or consciously do that on purpose. When I don't want to realize or do the work when something's coming up for you.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I know it's easy when you can tell when you're triggered, but what are some tips or tools that you can do to tell if your children are triggered as well?
Well, I think as a mother, you just know. You just know. Well, my eldest starts a tantrum when she's triggered. So she starts screaming and yelling. And the youngest for the youngest, there are different ways. She may go very quiet, but she goes all red in the face.
Well, I guess the better way of asking it is, what can you do? Because I'm sure as a mother, that's triggering you when your child is having a tantrum or, not behaving the way you expected them to. Yes. What can you do if they are triggered?
Well, it depends. It depends very much on the child. I have my daughters are very different from one another. So I just had a tantrum, I think 2 days ago with the eldest, where she started screaming because I turned off the TV because it was bedtime. And she threw herself on the floor and she started yelling and screaming and banging her head. And I just can't stand it. So I just leave the room because I know I'm going to kill her. And then I just, I leave the room and then I hear her screaming and screaming and screaming. And I know that she puts herself in that state and she will not be able to come out of it by herself. So she needs my help. And I just wait outside until the yelling subsides a little. Because when she gets a bit quieter, then I know that's the time where I can get through to her. And that's when I went back into the room. It's not about making her see something, making her understand that it's late, that it's bedtime, that she had been watching TV for an hour, that it's enough, that all kids go to bed now or whatever, or that yelling is no way to behave. It's not about that, because that doesn't work. And that's also what Marshall Rosenberg always said. He said, nonviolent communication is not about making the other person do something that you want them to. It's about connecting. It's about feeling the connection. And with my eldest, it was it was just hugging her and make her look at me, to make eye contact, so to make it easier for her to get out of this emotional state. And to soothe her, I just said, it's over now. It's okay. It's okay. It's over now. Because I knew that the most dramatic thing for her at that moment, it was not the TV, but it was this emotional yelling that she put herself into and that she couldn't come out of. Well, and then I just hugged her and I said, it's okay, it's over. And it was over. So it was okay then.
Oh, wow. It's like superpowers here.
Yes. And sometimes, Lauren, honestly, sometimes in such moments, I feel like the mom of the year because these situations were impossible to resolve before, but now I found a way.
That's so powerful. In any relationship, I'm thinking in my relationship with my partner, not only with him, but myself, of that what you said there was key. In that moment, it's not there about communicating to her, well, it's time for bed. You always come to bed at this time. You watch enough TV. Yeah. It's not about getting her to do something. It's about holding that space and allowing her to get out of that tantrum, allowing, the worst is, it's comforting her. It's that empathy. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was okay. Then she forgot about the TV. It was fine then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how it works with my eldest, and with my youngest, I have she's a bit easier. Yeah. Oh well, and I don't have to do that much work with her.
Amazing. And I know we've been talking about this course for the last few minutes. What all is included in the course? What can people expect if they're interested in signing up?
Well, first of all, there are a lot of stories from my own life, which I think a lot of parents can relate to. There's also a guided self-empathy session. So I've recorded my voice so the people can download it to their phone and just close their eyes and listen to it if they want to spend 5 minutes with self-empathy, with taking care of themselves. And I also have included a couple of sheets with feelings and needs because there are much more feelings and needs that we are normally aware of. So you can have a quick look. If you are having trouble finding your needs, which happens to me all the time, it's not that easy sometimes. And it's easier when you can read something that really resonates with you. And I have also a needs sheet for kids because you just need to use different words when you are talking to small children. Because to an adult, you can say, well, do you need some space or some autonomy, for example, because an adult can understand what it means. But for a child, it's do you want to decide for yourself, or do you want to do it yourself, something like that. Yes.
Amazing. I love how you break it down for us adults that are really just kids at heart, and then the kids too. We're just big kids. We'll have all that linked in the show notes as well if you guys are interested. And I'm just looking at your page right now. You've had a lot of students. This has been a great, successful of a course, right?
Yeah, I'm very happy about that.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, you guys. She's had, as of this is recording, it's going to come out over a month later, which I'm sure you'll have more. She's had over 5,000 people take this course. This is amazing. Holy crap. Congratulations. That's what
Thank you.
This is effective. This is effective. People are seeing results too. Oh, amazing, amazing. Well, I just looked at the time. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about before we start to close the show today?
Yes, I would like to share some free coupons for my course with your listeners. So I guess we can put a link to this, to the free coupons in the show notes, and the coupons will be available for 3 days. So if you're interested, go have a look.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on here. I honestly learned a lot, even though I don't have any children. I have a dog, but I don't think this will work with her. But thank you so much for coming on today and teaching us how to not only be in better relationships with others, but also ourselves.
Oh, thanks for inviting me.
And remember, open up, surrender, trust, and let your body lead the way.